I'm going to call this meeting back to order. First off, before I get started, I'd like to welcome a new councilor that we have with us tonight. His name is Trevor Perry. He's the new councilor for District 7 that just happened in a by-election that ended last week. So on behalf of the residents of the Municipality District of Yarmouth, Trevor, I'd like to welcome you, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak a little bit later on, so he'll be able to introduce himself to you. So anyway, welcome, congratulations, and buckle up. Things are going to get rough. All right, I'd like to begin by acknowledging we're meeting on traditional lands of Wausoba First Nation, part of Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Could you all rise with me and join me in the singing of O Canada?
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much, everyone. Moving on, item number 7. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as circulated? I do believe that there was one item that someone had asked to add under old business, item 10.2, I think it was, Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of additions to request from council this evening. Number 1 is a letter that was received from MLA Hilton last night requesting that that be added to correspondence for information, and it'll be linked to the public agenda early next week. And so that's a congratulatory letter from MLA Hilton to Councillor Perry.
All right, so we'll add that under item for information 12.2.6.
I'm requesting, Mr. Chair, that we add under old business, Yarmouth International Airport Agreement.
All right, so we're going to add that under item 10.2, under old business, airport agreement. So I need a motion to approve that.
I have one more, Mr. Chair.
Oh, you have one more?
I do.
Oh, geez.
So 11.1.2, I have an update regarding that file, and there's potential litigation involved, so I'm requesting that we move it to in camera.
So is someone willing to make a motion to approve those amendments to the agenda? Moved by Councillor Daniel Muse. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item number 8, declarations of conflict of interest. If any of you have a conflict of interest on any of the items that come up during the council meeting, please notify me, and I'll make sure that your name is recorded in the meeting minutes. And when you do declare that conflict of interest, please step away from the council tables. Item number 9, approval of the minutes from January 22nd. You'll have that in your package. What is council's pleasure? Councillor Jim Baxter.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 22nd public hearing for short-term rentals.
Is that the only one? Or are you going to do them all in
I
one
can do
motion?
all three. I also make a motion to approve the other two meeting minutes for January 22nd regarding public hearing for accessory rentals and a regular council meeting.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second. Second by Councillor Phil Mooney. Any discussion on that? Question being called on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on, item number 10, draft amendments to council procedural policy C-028-19. Madam CAO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So per instructions of council, there are proposed amendments to the procedural policy that bring into policy the public comment section of the agenda per the model that was exercised for a year. And so those amendments begin on page 9 of the policy document and go over to page 10. And then, and that is the only change, Mr. Chair.
Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you have the floor.
Well, interestingly enough, the inclusion of those public session comments in this policy was at the request of by one of our public speakers. So that says that it has a lot of utility. It's really good for folks to have some input. So having said that, I'll move that the Municipality District of Yarmouth adopt the amendments to Council Procedural Policy C-028-19 is circulated.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lawrence Cushion. Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you still have the floor.
Yeah, my apologies.
I will say this much, I'm happy to see this in our policy. It was requested by the public for some time, and I'm happy to see it finally being as per policy that I will be following diligently, and I'm looking forward to any public comments in any regard to municipal business. So I'm happy to see this in here, and this is what the public asked for, and this is what they received. So if there's no more discussion on that, I see none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. First edition, item 10.2, airport agreement. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Chief Administrative Officers for the Town of Yarmouth, Municipality of Argyll, and Municipality District of Yarmouth have negotiated and recommended a new intermunicipal agreement guiding the operations of the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation. And so that's before you tonight, recommended for approval, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you have the floor.
I'll move that the Municipality District of Yarmouth accept the intermunicipal agreement for the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation as circulated.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. Any discussion on that? I will say this much. I'm so happy to see that we finally come to an agreement on the funding and operation of the Yarmouth International Airport. It's been trying over the years without that agreement, because whenever we wanted to try to go get some funding to improve the airport, or soliciting for businesses and different things like that, it's been very difficult. I'm glad to see this finally end after all these years. So we can finally move forward with promoting our airport and attracting more business there, whether it be flights, whether it be other businesses, an incubator, or even events. So I'm very pleased to see this as a former chair of the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation. So is there any more discussion? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. And thank you to all the CAOs for all that hard work on that agreement. It's been a long time coming. Moving on, new business, recommendations from the Committee of the Whole, item 11.1.1, funding support for Nova Scotia Music Week. Councillor Phil Mooney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth approve Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association YASTA request for funding to support Nova Scotia Music Week. The approved amount at $15,667 will come from the 2025-2026 Grants to Organizations Program, with the understanding that some funds may need to be released in the current fiscal year.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion? I will say this much, I'm so happy to see this moving forward. That event has been quite a large draw for Yarmouth area and surrounding areas for many years that it's been held here. It's usually typically held in the shoulder season when there isn't a whole lot of tourists, so it's one thing to look forward to, which also showcases the Nova Scotia talent that we have producing music. It's a great event. Councillor Phil
Yeah,
Mooney.
and just to build upon what you said, Mr. Chair, there will be an announcement in the next few days or a release coming from Yarmouth and Acadian Shores.
Great. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried unanimously. Item 11.1.2 is moved to in camera. Item 11.1.3, Deer Management Inquiry. Councillor Jim Baxter, you have the floor.
I make a motion that we invite the Department of Natural Resources to speak to council about the deer population.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Daniel Muse. Any discussion on that? Councillor Baxter, you still have the floor. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on, item 11.1.4, the Memorial Club Monuments Committee. Councillor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth receive legal advice on responding to Maple Grove Memorial Club requests regarding access and ownership to the monument located near Maple Grove Education Center.
Motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. Discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on, item 11.1.5, Yarmouth County Minor Hockey Championship Tournament. Councillor Daniel Muse.
I'd like to make a motion that the municipality approve the Yarmouth County Minor Hockey request for $1,500 to host the provincial championship tournament from the 2024-2025 grant contingency budget.
Okay, motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion on that?
Question, Mr. Chair.
Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 11.1.6, letter to Yarmouth County Minor Hockey Club re-tournament.
Thank you for that, Jason. Does Councilor Cunningham do that?
Yeah. Deputy Warden.
Right, I'll move that the municipal district of Yarmouth send a letter of thanks to Yarmouth County Minor Hockey Tournament organizers, recognizing their hard work in organizing the tournament hosted in our region.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 11.1.7, African Heritage Month Gala. Councillor Daniel Muse.
I make a motion that the municipality make a contribution in the amount of $180 to the African Heritage Month Gala, and that be funded from the 2024-2025 Council Public Relations budget.
Okay, a motion on the floor. A seconder? Seconded by Councillor Phil Mooney. Any discussion on that? Councillor Muse, you have the floor.
I would like to say it was a privilege to attend this gala. I think there was 6 of us from here that, or 3 of us and our partners attended this gala with a band from the Valley. It was well put on, fantastic event, and the Greenville community did a great job in hosting this. So it was a wonderful time. We've got a chance to see a few people do some dance moves, and away we went. But it was great. So thank you.
Trev, get up on the floor?
I'm not knowing my dance.
For anyone who didn't hear that on the recording, Deputy Warden said he's not known for his dance moves. All right, motion on the floor. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 11.1.8, Council Remuneration Policy C-029-01. Have a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole. What is Council's pleasure? Councillor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion that the amendments to Council Remuneration Policy C-029-01 be approved as presented.
Excuse me. Motion on the floor by Councillor Phil Mooney. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion on that. Hearing none? Oh, sorry.
He's got his leg.
Sorry.
Councillor Daniel Muse, you have the floor.
So I was just getting some clarification on the mileage when we go to and from committee meetings, not council or committee of the whole, where we're not allowed to charge for mileage. And so I was just looking at the mileage that has been allotted to the chair, the warden, of a monthly $250 a month, which equates to $3,000 a year, and that's like 5,100 kilometers a year. So I was concerned that if we have to put our own kilometers in for every meeting that we go to, that maybe the warden should put his in too and not get this $250, but he put his in as well. It was meant for warden to do municipal stuff, but I have a little question over that extra allowance that I guess I didn't know was coming your way, the chair's way, before now. I feel that if the chair is going to the town or wherever they're going, we have to submit our kilometers if we go to a meeting. This is something sort of new because of the CRA, but I just feel that maybe we should all be doing the same thing and not just getting a stipend, a set stipend. So that's just, I just want some discussion on that, really.
So if you're asking me, that stipend was put in, and I was in council at the time. I think it was 8 years ago. It was a request by a former warden that of all the extra travel that he did within the municipality. This is not a travel allowance for outside of the municipality. This was only for being within the municipality, because at the time they mentioned that sometimes they had a meeting all the way from Port Maitland, and then they had to travel to other reaches of the community, like Pinckney's Point, or maybe out in North Kemp and like that. And at the time, they complained, the warden at the time complained that it was quite a financial burden, whereas he couldn't claim mileage within the municipality. There is, of course, a travel policy outside of the municipality, but at the time, that was put forward and council approved it. It was, from my understanding, Madam CEO, please correct me if I'm wrong, it was never formally put into policy until now, correct?
That's right. So the practice carried on by way of a motion of council, which is a legal way to govern. But when council was looking at the remuneration policy, I brought in the practice into the policy for council's consideration.
To answer the question, for me personally, it don't matter to me. If council feels that this is not appropriate, then so be it. It doesn't matter to me personally. But at the time, that was the reasoning behind it, but this is the reason why it's currently in the policy now, and it's council's decision whether they want to approve it, make an amendment to it, or not. Yeah, go ahead.
So I do understand that, this was put in eight years ago, and I agree, but I think now what I'm hearing is that we can put our kilometers in, so you are allowed now to put your kilometers in for these meetings from Port Maitland to Pinckney's Point. You're allowed to do that. So I feel that we have to put ours in. If we're going from Port Maitland to Pinckney's Point, we have to put our kilometers in. So why does the warden or the chair do the same thing? Because 8 years ago, you weren't allowed to claim inside your municipality, but I believe now you are allowed to put inside your municipality. So I just think we should just have a blanket policy for all of us, and that's just my thoughts.
I can maybe just add a little additional context. So in addition to the council remuneration policy, there are also draft amendments to the travel and expense policy. So a number of years ago, municipal councillors in Nova Scotia had 1/3 of their stipend income tax exempt, and that was deemed by the Canada Revenue Agency to be reimbursing councillors for the out-of-pocket expenses to execute their duties. That rule has gone away. So the amendments to the travel policy allowing councillors to bill for mileage in the execution of their duties is being brought forward because of the change in the CRA rule. So I think what I'm hearing Councillor Muse say is, if there's provision for all of the councillors to bill for mileage under the mileage policy, then is the $250 stipend now redundant?
Deputy Warden.
So, given what I've heard, and Councillor Muse brings up a good point, certainly. And so I'll move that the municipality of District of Yarmouth accept passage of the travel and expense policy T-088. It is presented with the exception of the, I'll put it on the floor, and then I'll make then I'll make an amendment to my motion, or should I just, I guess I.
Mr. Chair, point of clarification, if that's
Yep.
okay. Yep, so the policy under consideration is the remuneration policy. And if there's an appetite on the part of council to make an amendment, then the motion would be to adopt the policy as presented, striking 2.3.
Right, sorry, we're.
Yep, there's two policies that are going to go together to create the new framework.
Okay, so I'll move that the municipality district of Yarmouth accept the travel and remuneration, accept the travel and expense policy T-088 with the exception of the striking out the warden's 250.
Item 2.3.
Item, yes, is that what it is?
He's referencing the wrong policy. It's this policy that's under
Yeah, it's-
discussion.
The policy that's under discussion is the council remuneration policy, C-029-.
Oh, we haven't gotten to the travel, okay.
Right.
Okay, sorry. So, okay, now, okay, so we'll put that piece of business. Sorry for the confusion.
It's not the remuneration policy that has the...
That's correct. Yep.
The remuneration policy has that piece in it.
Right.
Okay, so I'll move that the municipality district of Yarmouth accept the council remuneration policy as circulated with the exception of the $250 stipend for the monthly stipend for the warden is circulated.
So strike
Strike that.
2.3?
Yeah.
Striking 2.3. All right, motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Phil Mooney. Deputy Warden, you still have the floor. Anyone else? I will say this, that's a practice that was happened 8 years ago, and for me, I'm totally fine with that. It doesn't matter to me. There's been a lot of times that I also travel outside the municipality for meetings like the municipality of Argyle, which I'm right next door. I don't think it's fair for the municipality district of Yarmouth to pay for me, for my mileage from home to the municipal office in Tuscot for the municipality district of Argyle, whereas I work right across the street. And it's not fair, and I've never, ever claimed any mileage outside of that. And also, it's under our policies that we're allowed to claim travel from home to a different municipality, which would be the town of Yarmouth. I personally never claimed any mileage from home to the town of Yarmouth when there was meetings. When we start getting in areas like the municipality district of Clare and Barrington, I have. But anything that's been close within the municipality district of Yarmouth, I have not. Other than I was getting the $250 addition that was in this policy, but you are absolutely right, Councillor Muse, in bringing that point up. That's something that was done years ago, and I personally have no problem with that being struck. Is there any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving on to item 11.1.9, travel and expense policy T-088-20. Councilor Jim Baxter.
I make a motion that we approve the changes to the travel and expense policy T-088-20 as approved and presented.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Lauren Cushion is who I heard first. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on, item 11.1.10, fees policy F-044-2, T-088-20.
Fees? Fees. 11.110, Mr. Chair.
Fees policy F-044-02.
Yep.
Yeah, gotta love the way that I read sometimes. Councilor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion that the amendments to the fees policy F-044-02 be approved.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Lauren Cushion.
Mr. Chair. There's a typo. I just want to point it out, and it's material.
All right, Madam CEO.
On page 2, under civic number signs, if you recall at committee of the whole, I had presented an amendment. Instead of $18.50, it's $20 an hour, not $20 an hour. Instead of $18.50, it's $20. So I just want to correct that because the typo is in your package this evening. So the new rate for the first civic number sign will be for the civic number sign replacement will be $20.
Okay. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor?
Have you got that, Jenny?
Did I get a seconder on that motion?
Yes. I think Councillor Cushing.
Okay. Councilor Muse.
Just a question on that, Mr. Chair. So if you happen to own two properties, the civic number signs, do you still get your first sign at for the same price? Like if you don't reside at that property, it's like your cottage or whatever?
Each property that is assigned a civic number gets the first sign at no charge.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on, item 11.1.11, mobile device policy M-682-25. What is council's pleasure? Councilor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to, that mobile policy M-682-25 be approved as presented.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Lauren Cushion. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right, moving on, item 11.1.12, request for decision, agenda and a minute software. Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham.
So whereas the municipality district of Yarmouth is seeking to modernize and enhance its digital infrastructure in a cost-effective manner that minimizes the impact on taxpayers, and whereas the municipality's current agenda and minute software is being phased out and is no longer compatible with the new municipal website, and whereas the council for the District of Yarmouth is committed to ensuring compliance with accessibility legislation and addressing the needs of individuals with barriers, therefore be it resolved that the municipality District of Yarmouth approve the proposal to adopt the eScribe Digital Readiness Bundle. Further be it resolved that an amount of $14,215 be allocated in the 2025-26 rating budget for the purchase of the software. Further be it resolved that the CAO be instructed to initiate implementation supporting an April 1, 2025 rollout of the system.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councilor Phil Mooney. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Yes.
For this next item, the gift for the Mariner Center, I'll just declare conflict.
All right, so, all right, item 11.2, Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham declared a conflict, so he stepped away from the table. So I'll call that item on to the floor. Gift for Mariner Center Management Board Chair and Vice Chair. Councilor Daniel Muse, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we get a gift for the board chair and vice chair of the Mariner Center Board for all their hard work and dedication that they've put forth in the last year and a half under special circumstances. So we're going to take that out of, motion to take it out of, where are we going to take that from? Contingency.
The amount.
Oh, of $500 of the contingency.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Lauren Cushion. Councilor Muse, you still have the floor.
Sorry.
Question being called on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Please note the deputy warden's coming back to the table. I'll give him a minute to get situated. Moving on, item 11.3, request for decision, RCMP resources. Yes, Madam CEO, if you wouldn't mind speaking to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the municipality of the District of Yarmouth and the municipality of the District of Argyll partner and cost share in the Yarmouth County Rural RCMP detachment. Over the last year or so, the RCMP has done an analysis of their resources and their ability to fulfill their contract to provide policing services. So just in summary, the municipality of Argyll and the municipality of Yarmouth purchase policing services from the RCMP through the contract that the province has. So the province shares the cost per officer 70-30, 30% the federal government, 70% the provincial government. When municipalities participate in that provincial contract, municipalities pay 66% of the 70%. So in the package this evening, Mr. Chair, is a recommendation to add resources to the Yarmouth County Rural Detachment. 2 officers in the fiscal year 2025-26, 1 additional officer in 26-27, and in 27-28, request a review of the analysis that was completed in 2024. And the cost implications are included in the briefing note, but essentially the municipality of the District of Yarmouth contributes, based on this year's expenses, $107,000 per officer.
Councillor Phil Mooney.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth, Modi, in conjunction with the municipality of Argyll, make a formal request to the Nova Scotia Minister of Justice for the following additional policing resources: 2 officers in the fiscal year 2025-2026, 1 additional officer in 26-27 fiscal year, and in 2027-2028, a request for review of the resource analysis in the 2024 GDPRR.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion on that. I will say this much. It's been many, many, many years since our policing has had a request for members out in throughout my years sitting on the municipality district of Yarmouth. One of the things that I've heard from many residents is they want our police force to be seen. This here is a great step forward in getting that visibility of the RCMP out on the street. It's not only going to be just for visibility, but it's also going to be alleviate some of the overtime and stuff like that. I'm proud to support this motion that's on the floor. It's something that the residents have asked for many, many years, and I'm finally glad to see it moving forward, that we get the additional resources for our detachment to perform policing service for the municipality District of Yarmouth residents, along with the municipality District of Argyll. Deputy Warden.
Thank you. Well said, Mr. Chair. And just one thing to add to what you said, and it sort of drove home the fact that during one of the presentations from the RCMP personnel, is that, the policing's changed, the requirements have changed a lot, as the requirements for a lot of jobs, occupations have changed. They're more demanding, time consuming. One of the big time consumers for RCMP now is that they when they take people to the emergency room, or when people are admitted to the not emergency rooms, outpatients, they wait for them, right? If they're having an issue with mental health or something like that, so that does take a lot of resource time from RCMP officers. So that's just but one example of how policing's changed, and sort of the higher standards of care and all those types of things. So that's part of the reason that the request came through the staffing study, and a lot of the reason why we're approving that those additional resources for the RCMP in the county tonight. Thank you.
And if I remember correctly, in that discussion, it was 10 years or more that we've hit that since we've added any staff members to the police force here. So it's well needed, as you stated, that policing has changed over the years, and the RCMP force is asked to do a lot more things than what they traditionally done just even 10 years ago. So any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, moving on. Item 11.4, the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities request, and this is put forward by me. As you all know, the province has the new government of the province of Nova Scotia has a strong mandate. They have a supermajority. And there's a lot of new bills that are coming down, which is going to affect municipalities in ways that we really don't realize. The Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, which we have a board member sitting in our council, Councillor Phil Mooney, is tasked with wading through all those different changes that's coming forward, which may affect the way the municipality can operate. It also may have financial implications. I had a meeting with the mayors and wardens last evening, from all across the province, along with the chairperson, Mayor, who happens to be Mayor Pam Mood of the town of Yarmouth. And there was a lot of discussion in there about changes and things. And what the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities was looking for was looking for support to go advocate on municipalities across Nova Scotia's behalf. Now, the problem lied in some of the mayors and wardens, and myself included, were a little bit concerned that they needed some decisions made very quickly. And I'm personally uncomfortable, and so wasn't a lot of my colleagues, of saying, yes, move forward, or hold off a little bit without updating your councils. And I'm one of those wardens. I try not to act without council knowing, but the way that the political climate is nowadays, with the situation going on in the U.S. and the different bills and stuff that are coming through the coming through the province that's going to affect the municipalities, it was felt by many mayors and wardens that we needed approval from our councils to speak on your behalf if it needed to come up really quickly. This does not mean that you would not be updated at a future meeting, but rather than calling special meetings, they wanted to be able to not necessarily fly by the seat of the pants, but try to gain consensus so that the NSFM can work on our behalf. So what I'm requesting you is permission to act on your behalf if the decision needs to be made quickly, in which I'll update you. Now, mind you, I will try to contact you via phone or anything like that if something needs to be made pretty quick, but I'd like a little bit of leeway to be able to make decisions with my colleagues across the province to benefit all of us. Councillor Phil.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In light of your comments and sometimes the quick turnaround time that the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities needs, and there are communiques every Monday. So I know you've done really good, Mr. Chair, on advising councillors on what you're doing, what you're thinking, and what you're looking for the residents of the municipality district of Yarmouth. I'd like to make a motion, be it resolved that the municipality of the district of Yarmouth supports the work of the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities in advocating for Nova Scotia municipalities to be at the table with provincial legislative and policymakers when legislation that affects municipalities is being contemplated, and that the warden has the autonomy to sign a letter expressing support of the NSFM in representing the needs of the municipalities that support municipal autonomy and strong decision-making and municipal engagement. And if you don't mind, if I have a seconder, I'd just like to say a couple words on that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse.
And you're right, I do sit on that board, and there is a quick turnaround time as we speak right now. I think the mayor is either there or on her way with the executive director of the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, Juanita Spencer. They're part of a group of Canadian mayors going down there to talk about the tariffs, talking to senators, talking to governors, talking to congressmen, talking to people in the administration about the cost of tariffs, not only on our side of the border, but on theirs. And when you're talking about legislative matters, and the deputy warden brought it up, or is going to bring it up here in a little bit, is some of the things that are in the latest budget when it comes to the Department of the Minister of Infrastructure Renewal can do some infrastructure projects that they deem necessary and send the bill back to us without any input from us. So that's some of the things that we have to look out for. That's some of the things you have to speak out for the municipal residents for. And I know it's not a monetary thing that's going to be all the time, but they have monetary consequences in the long run. So I feel comfortable in having you advocate for us on a provincial and regional, provincial level and federal level when it comes to supporting the NSFM in their endeavors.
Thank you. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Councillor Jim Baxter.
I think maybe I need clarity on this one. Is it the warden that's asking to represent the municipality, or the NSFM that's asking to represent the municipality?
No, it's me asking my council that if a decision needs to come up and be made quickly, that I can act on your behalf.
I'm fine with that.
And you had that, sorry, Mr.
Yeah, go ahead.
But maybe you can explain, you had that meeting with other mayors, wardens, and CAOs in the last few days, right, or last week?
Correct.
Right?
That
So,
happened,
and that's where
happened,
then this is where this came from.
yes, that's
yeah.
where this has come from, because,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, some of the mayors and wardens were uncomfortable making any decisions on council's behalf without consulting council first, which is typically what I do, or any mayor and warden tries to do. And unfortunately, with the speed that things are happening now, there has been some decisions that need to be made quickly before a council convene. Like one of the mayors and wardens, I think they were from the Pictou area, they just had a council meeting the day before, and they said, well, we're not going to meet for 2 weeks, and I can't give you an answer. And sometimes these 2 weeks is critical, absolutely. And that's the reason why I'm bringing forward that to council. And that's the reason why I like the permission to act with a little bit of autonomy, because everyone says, oh, the mayors or the wardens, they can act on their own, they do what they want, but that's not true at all. I try to get the input from all councils and get consensus one way or another and move forward. But the way that our political climate is now, and the things that are going on, and the changes that may be coming, as the deputy warden had mentioned, and also Councillor Phil Mooney has mentioned, it's imperative that I give a little bit of leeway, that I can act on council's behalf, and not only council, but the residents of the municipality, because there's a lot of things that are happening really fast. So if there's any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, council, and if anything comes up on any meetings, I'll certainly, as soon as possible, let you know. Decisions won't always have to be made very quick, but as I said earlier, the way our political climate is now, things are changing very fast, very rapidly. So thank you very much. Moving on, item 11.5, request for decision, tax sale by tender. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in the package this evening for council is a request for decision to execute the required tax sale procedure instead of by public auction by tender, just due to the construction projects taking place at the municipal properties. We're unable to confirm a date where we could host the tax sales, and that has to be confirmed and set in stone in order to hold a public auction legally. And so staff required council's permission to sell by tender as opposed to by public auction.
Deputy Warden.
All right, so where is there significant uncertainty around confirming location to host the annual tax sale by public auction, and where is the Municipal Government Act sets out provisions for tax sale by tender, therefore be it resolved that council consent to tax sale by tender.
Okay, a motion on the floor to have a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Any discussion on that? So, Madam CEO, I'm going to ask this question. I know the answer to, but maybe it should be, what exactly does that mean? So that means that we won't be holding a tax sale like we usually do here in the council chambers, where our director of finance puts forward the properties that are up for tax sale. So does this mean, what does tender mean?
Thank you. So all of the provisions for selling a property by tax sale in terms of notification and applying interest and fees and all that still prevail. But the method for selling, if a property does not resolve the arrears prior to that date, means that the properties will be advertised in the paper circulating in the municipality. We use the shoppers. And invitations to bid in a sealed bid will be invited. And so people who are interested in any property will make a bid in a sealed envelope. The bids will be opened, and generally speaking, when the report goes to council, the properties are awarded to the highest bidder.
Thank you. Councillor Muse.
So unlike an auction, you have one shot at this, is that correct?
That's right. Generally, an auction is preferable because I think that there's a better opportunity to get a better price for properties. But the legislation says that certain properties that are in certain types of arrears have to be sold at tax sale. So we have to use a mechanism, and because we can't guarantee location for the public auction, then really the tender is the best option for the municipality.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that was a good question, because that was actually my question, so thank you for clarification.
Sometimes I ask questions I know the answers to. It's not because I'm so smart, because I asked the question before. Any more discussion? Councillor Phil Mooney.
Just when it comes to that CAO, is there an opportunity to use like a Brooklyn Hall or a Greenville Hall to hold an auction?
There could be, yeah. What we run into is, in order to get the 60-day and 90-day notices out, we have to lock down the location, and so the notices need to go out as soon as possible. So we're going to use the tender procedure and try to move things along, because normally we're selling in April, so we're late already.
To the recording secretary, was there a motion on the floor, and was there a seconder?
Yes, there is a motion on the floor that was moved by Deputy Warden Cunningham and seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion.
I don't remember doing that, but that's the reason why I asked that question. Apparently, I'm getting old. Thank you very much for that clarification. I just didn't want to call a question on the motion that wasn't even on the floor. Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Do you wish your name recorded, Councillor Mooney?
No.
Okay. Motion carried. Vote of 6-1. Item number 12. Correspondence for action. Item 12.1.1. Letter to mayors and wardens from Minister John Lohr. Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you have the floor.
So, Mr. Chair, I did take a little bit of time. I don't normally, but this is a pretty important response, and I thought it would be useful for us all to have sort of a draft response that you could send out. And so that I'll just take a little bit of time to read it, so that folks in the audience and online can also hear it, and we'll give people a little bit of chance to, councillors, a little bit of chance to think about it as well. The subject is support for reducing interprovincial trade barriers and increasing resource development in Nova Scotia. So the response would read, or at least the draft: Dear Honourable Minister Lohr, thank you for your letter dated February 11th, 2025. On behalf of the Municipality District of Yarmouth, I want to express our support for your efforts to reduce interprovincial trade barriers and promote responsible resource development in Nova Scotia. These initiatives are crucial pieces to strengthen our economy, creating jobs, and ensuring long-term prosperity for our communities. As a coastal municipality with a long history of resource-based economics, we recognize the importance of a competitive and open economic environment that allows our local businesses to expand and access broader markets. Additionally, responsible resource development will provide sustainable economic growth while ensuring that environmental and community interests are respected. The Municipality District of Yarmouth also recognizes the necessity of upgrading key piece of infrastructure to enhance our region's investment readiness and reduce barriers to business entry. Our region has a port and an airport that require upgrades to foster economic development and align with provincial objectives. For instance, enhancing the capacity and facilities at our commercial wharves is vital to support Atlantic Canada's largest fishing fleet and to attract new maritime businesses. We appreciate your leadership on these issues and look forward to collaborating with the province about specific projects that will benefit all Nova Scotians. Please do not hesitate to reach out if there are opportunities for further engagement or discussion. So I'll move that I'll put that on the floor as read to send a response to Minister Lohr, that our ward would send that response to Minister Lohr unless there's an amendment to the letter that somebody would like to suggest.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Any discussion on that? Councillor Daniel Muse.
Just want to say, Councillor Cunningham, that's well-written. Thank you. Great job.
Councillor Jim Baxter.
Again, I'd also like to say that that's very well written and very thought out. Minister Lohr's letter sounded like he was asking for a blank check to do anything, and you put in there the bullet points that were important to me.
Any more discussion? I will say this much. I don't know who helped you write that. Maybe. Leslie did. Oh, I see. Leslie's his wife. I think that's a very good letter. I also think that we should work with the province and try to balance the needs of the residents to the needs of the province because there's going to be lots of things that may change, which is one of the reasons why I requested that I have a little bit of autonomy when things come up through the NSFM. Working on a case-by-case basis is certainly the way to go. There's going to be some things that are going to be controversial and stuff like that, but I think that's the best way to move forward. Work with the province where we align. And you also noted that our infrastructure, airport, ports, and stuff like that, it would only help us to move forward and try to improve that, working with the province. So, absolutely, I'd be in support of that. Councillor Phil Mooney.
Plus what Councillor Baxter touched on, it also puts a little onus on the back of the Department of Municipal Affairs. And the minister, and as he is also the Minister of Finance, touching upon the wharfs in the airport is a great opportunity for us to do a little quid pro quo and get something back in return.
Oh, absolutely. There's years and years and years we've been complaining that our infrastructure is not falling apart, but deteriorating, and the funding streams have been very slim and very hard to get your hands on, whether it's through the ports or whether it's the airport or anything like that. So, absolutely. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on, item 12.1.2, the B. Harris Resource Development. Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, given council's decision on the preceding correspondence from Minister Lohr, my recommendation would be to respond to Ms. Harris, thanking her for her concern and providing her a copy of council's response to Minister Lohr's letter.
Councillor Phil Mooney.
Exactly almost everything I was going to say.
So you're moving that, Councillor?
I'll move that, yes.
Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney, seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Before we move on, Council, as per our council procedural policy, and I can't spit it out right now, We have a time limit on regular council meetings. We started at 5 o'clock. No, we started in camera, remember? So we've reached the 2-hour limit, so I'd entertain a motion to extend the regular council meeting until the agenda is complete. Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney, seconded by Councillor Daniel Muse. Almost said the bad A word. Motion on the floor to extend the council meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on our council agenda, item 12.1.3. We have a letter here for action from the Southwest Paddlers Association Resource Development. MCO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would recommend a similar approach to the correspondence from Ms. Harris.
What is council's wishes? Councillor Muse?
I make that a motion.
A motion on the floor, moved by Councillor Daniel Muse, seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 12.1.4, a letter for action from M. Wallace, local food production. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there are a few comments related to Minister Lore's letter, but there's no question. But in the closing remarks, there is a question around support for local sustainable food production. So my recommendation is that council provide a response thanking Ms. Wallace for her note and pointing her to the pieces in the planning documents that support local food production.
Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on, item 12.1.5, the Mariner Center request. Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Chair of the Mariner Center Management Authority is in the room. So I'll start the conversation, but maybe defer to Councillor Muse. So the Mariner Center has advised the municipal councils for some time that replacement of ice surface 1 was on the horizon. And unfortunately, the issues requiring the replacement of the ice are getting more severe, so the project is on the very near horizon. I think the board would like to do the project planning in fiscal year 25-26 and do the construction in 26-27. And so the correspondence indicates that the board needs confirmation and support from the 3 municipal owners that the project will get funded, whether or not there's external funding. And so the estimated cost is $2 million. That means the municipality of Yarmouth's share would be just north of $773,000. There are a number of ways to fund it to manage cash flow, and so that could be determined at a later date.
Maybe I'll let the chair speak first, that's all right?
So just,
Councillor Muse.
so just an update on the time frame. The actual time frame is 2026 of April. I think you mentioned 27. It's next April. We're looking at doing this. They were hoping to do it this year, but things didn't happen. So we're looking at April of 2026, and it's going to be 3 to 6 months to complete this. It's all new piping under the ice surface, and they're looking at April 1st because the hockey season will be over. And the reason we looked at April 1st, hopefully be done by the middle of August, so the Mariners won't miss their training camp, but if they do, they'd rather miss their training camp for 2 weeks than miss the end of the season playoffs, which they're not making this year, but hopefully next year. And the reason we'd like to get funding approved right away is that we have to give all the users a good time frame, because NSCC used that for their graduation, the high school uses for their graduation, we get the spring living show, the exhibition. There's a lot of users in that time. that we have to give them adequate notice so that they can find another venue. And if we don't tackle this right away and this happens in November, then we lose the entire hockey season, which is all our rentals. So we will lose all our revenue for basically the whole year if we don't tackle this. And it's at its end of its life cycle. It's 20-plus years old now, so it's something that's very important that we need done ASAP. We needed it yesterday, but we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Councillor Mooney.
I'm not going to ask a question to the CAO. The proper thing is maybe refer to budget, because I know there could be some innovative ways we could pay for this, and
That's right. So absolutely the how would be part of your capital investment planning and/or your operating budget, depending on how
Yeah.
you fund it. But I think the board does need an indication from the owners on kind of what your feeling is, because they have to move forward, and they need to move forward knowing that there is support from the owners to make it happen, find a way to make it happen.
when's our next, like, we're on the long end of council cycle, but on a short end coming up for committee of the whole, right?
That's right. So if council has an appetite for this, this would show up in the capital investment plan, and the money would flow. If the project is in the spring of '26, then the money would flow in that fiscal year, '26, '27. So we would show it on your capital investment plan there, and that gives time to determine how to fund it. Because I would expect that the three councils would want to have a chat with the board about all the different ways it could get funded. For example, the Mariner Center could incur the debt, and the debt repayment could appear on their operating budget every year, and then the money would just flow year over year over
Yeah.
the life of the debt.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
In light of that, and if it's all right, Chair of the Management Board, I'll make a motion that we refer this to budget, but I think it's a request that I will support, so, and I'll move it to budget, refer it to budget, just to see, get in line with the other two municipal units on how we're going to fund this, because the CAO said there could be different opportunities on how you layer it, so it's not a decision that we're going to make tonight, but I'm in support of the renovation to the center.
So there's a motion on the floor
To refer to budget.
to refer it to budget. Do I have a seconder on that motion on the floor? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. I do have one question in that regards to the motion that's on the floor. Is that what the Mariner Center board is asking for? Are they asking for a letter in principle that we will approve this, or?
That's my understanding, is that, the ask is to understand if in principle the owners are behind the project, and then the details on how to fund it would follow later. So I'm unclear if the motion supports the project in principle or not.
I support, yes. I'll put,
Sorry, Deputy Warden? Councillor Mooney?
It's usually, I think anytime I've ever been involved on the municipal side is we get a request, we don't, except for a music week one, but when you're getting a $2 million request and $774,000 comes from our side, I'm in support of the project. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We need it in light what's happening out there with the new project, with the pool and the walking track, the importance of the facility to all three municipal units and beyond when it comes to the community college, when it comes to the hockey season, when it comes to the Mariners. I'm in support of all that, but I say we should refer it, maybe not to budget, but refer it to the next committee of the whole, and where we can come up with a letter of support for the project, but in lieu of talking to the CAO in how we're going to fund the project, because there's lots of ways we can do it, right? Not just take the money out of one fiscal year,
That's
but
right.
you could layer it, you could, like you said, borrow the money, pay it back over 10 years. There's lots of ways we could do it. So in light of that, I do support the project, but we have to give staff, not only for us, Argyle, and in the town of Yarmouth, an opportunity to look at it to see how we could go forward with the project.
So in lieu in that, I'm going to asking the CEO, would an amendment to the main motion that's on the floor be just that we support the project in principle?
Well, so I think that the main motion on the floor is very specific in terms of getting this into the budget planning process so that council can get into the weeds. And what I might recommend is a follow-on motion that council respond to the Mariner Center supporting the project in principle, but asking for the municipalities and the board to negotiate the details on how to fund it.
So I'll ask for a vote on the first one, and I think the deputy warden is going to make a motion on the second part.
Okay, so any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Deputy Warden.
So in addition to moving the project to budget for consideration 26, 27 fiscal, I'll move that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth write the Mariner Center Board indicating its support and principle for the replacement of the ice surface is request, and that we'll engage them in a conversation about how to fund that in the most economically feasible manner for the 3 municipal units.
Okay, motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion on that motion. Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. I guess I'm going to ask the chair of the Mariner Center Board, which some of you may not know, it's our very own Councillor Daniel Muse. Does that satisfy the request that the board had sent?
I believe it does, yeah.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Item 12.2, items, correspondence for your information. We have one from the South Ohio Community Center 2024 grant report, correspondence from the Office of the Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Mariner Center Board resignation, what we talked about earlier, pending legislation from the NSFM. Also a letter from FREPA regarding resource development, and also the addition, the welcome of Councillor Trevor Perry to the Municipality District of Yarmouth from our new MLA, who Councillor Perry happened to replace, MLA Nick Hilton. Even though that information is not on the agenda, the CEO will make sure that it's on there. So if there's no discussion on that, I guess I'm looking for a motion to
Receive and place on file.
to receive and place on file. Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion to make a motion that the information's been received and will be placed on file for the information. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously, I believe. Item number 13, reports. 13.1, CAO's report. You all have that in your package? Questions, comments? Councillor Daniel Muse.
I make a motion that we accept the CEO report as recorded.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Any discussion on that? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Item 13, Warden's report. I have no written report. I was going to give a verbal report, but I might want to make a couple quick comments. One of them that was mentioned earlier, Black History Month was last month. We had a flag raising here on the 6th. Also went to a couple events there, and I'd like to thank council members who attended the gala. Thank you very much. If I'm not mistaken, Councilor Daniel Muse, you also bought a table on yourself. So, yeah, kudos to you. I'm glad to see that we're getting out to different communities. This was a project that we've had as a council in the last term to try to be out and about more in the communities, and we've been out and about quite a bit to the Greenville Community Center, so please keep it up. any community events that anyone may have, please let me know, and I'll make sure that I try to get your event out there. One thing that's coming up tomorrow, the Radiothon for the hospital fundraiser for infant care is coming up. I'll be live on CGLS Radio Y95 at, I think it's 10:40. This is a fundraiser that's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years for different types of equipment to help equip our hospital with much needed equipment, not only for the use of people who unfortunately need it at the time, but it also helps attract physicians and professionals to the area to make our healthcare system better in Southwest Nova. It's not only for the municipality, it's all of Southwest Nova. So if you have a couple spare bucks, it's really easy to make a donation, whether it's online, in person, through your computer or phone. It can be done easily. So listen, hopefully we can raise over $100,000 like we had before. That's one thing that I really wanted to mention, something that I enjoy going on live on air. It's something that I've done since they've had it at the very beginning, that I've been on live every year, whether I was a counselor, a deputy warden, or the warden. I'm very excited to do that again, and I'm sure there's going to be some challenges put out there for different things. One of the neat challenges that one local business had put out is donations on behalf of your pets. It was kind of neat. That was kind of neat, and it was really interesting. So it was a good way to engage some enthusiasm over moving things forward. And also, last but not least, typically I don't do this, but we all have with us now a new counselor, newly minted earlier today at 4:45. He signed the oath of office, and I was, first for me, I was actually pleased that I could administer the oath of office. And I want to introduce to you Councillor Treble. Treble. Here we go. Oh, I knew I was going to mess that up. At least I didn't call you Councillor Trevor Cunningham. No, yeah, he's trouble too. I have two Trevors now, and we have two Cunninghams in here. I don't know if that's going to be trouble, and they both relate to the deputy warden. But anyway, all joking aside, Councillor Trevor Perry, congratulations, and I'm sure you're going to do a great job. So what I'm going to do, which I typically don't do, is I'm going to turn over the floor to you so you can just give yourself a brief bio of who you are and just introduce you to the residents of the municipality of District of Yarmouth. So if you wouldn't mind, hit your red button. We haven't heard your voice yet, and I know he's being a little bit overwhelmed because, like I said, he's only been at this job a few hours. So this is his first opportunity to introduce himself. No pressure. I'll never forget the first time I turned on the microphone, I stood there with my mouth open, and that's true. So Councillor Trevor Perry for District 7.
Okay, thank you. Brief it'll be. I'm a beef farmer and a small business owner in the Chebogue area. I was born in Yarmouth and grew up in the Barrington area and went on to HRM for education and worked in management there. Been back on the farm here in Chebogue for 26 years. It's been a great place to raise my kids. My partner Lynn has given me a lot of support along with our combined 6 children to run for this position. I've always had a local interest in local politics since being in student government in high school, but life has been a little busy and challenging and hectic, and this is my first opportunity to actually put myself forward for that. I've been overwhelmed by the support from friends and family and even everybody in this council room that called to congratulate me. I wasn't expecting that, but I sure appreciate it. I have no illusions that the hard part was running. I enjoyed that. I know the work's starting now, so I sort of get congratulations before the work started is a little odd, but that's the way it is. I'm probably the weakest link here and being late to the table, but I'll do my best to step up and represent District 7 and the municipality as a whole as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Perry. There's no such thing as a weak link, as what I call it is new ideas. And a lot of politicians are often run through the coals because they call themselves our ideas are old and busted and we don't really know what we're talking about. So it's great to get a different perspective on things. And we have also with us Jim Baxter, who's also a new counselor. We also have some new old counselors here and some old ones, so. So we're looking forward to your perspective, and we're looking forward to your input on future things. So buckle up, things are going to get rough. Thank you very much. So that's my report, which is a little bit different this time. Item 13.3, reports for legal entities. There's some written reports and meeting minutes. Is there any verbal reports or any of those? Deputy Warden?
Just quickly for the Industrial Commission, we had a meeting Monday night, and I've been recently elected chair of the Industrial Commission, and we've been busy. You know, we have a lot of assets, including the port, the Regional Center for Education building, or where they're housed. That's owned by the Industrial Commission, and we have had a lot of success over the last year or so in moving sort of more of the managerial type pieces of the health clinics over to Nova Scotia Health Department. So that's fantastic, and the group's really working well, and Greg Shea's providing staff support there, and so really moved a lot of the files forward, and just looking again to improve those port facilities. I guess that's one of the major pieces that we want to see happen over the next few years. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Warden, and my apologies. I was, since Councillor Nick Hilton resigned, where I took on a lot of his responsibilities. You know, sometimes when you open your mouth, be careful what you wish for. Unfortunately, that one slipped my mind. However, I do have that in the next, in my calendar to make sure that I don't miss the next one. And since we also have a new councillor joining us, we're maybe shuffling committee appointments a little bit. You got to lighten the load a little bit, so to speak. So we'll probably be reviewing our committee appointments in the next committee of the whole coming up shortly. So thank you very much for that. Any more discussion or any more reports from legal entities? Seeing none, moving on to advisory. Councillor Jim Baxter.
Okay, the Accessibility Advisory Committee, we met last week on February 27th, where I was elected as chair of the committee. We had some good discussion. We reviewed the accessibility plan, did some updating. We're preparing a draft to present to council. But there was one discussion point that we had where there was a suggestion that possibly council should bump up in priority reviewing the citizen rep policy. Specifically with the Accessibility Advisory Committee, the support groups that service the people with barriers and challenges are not necessarily in the municipality, but our citizen rep policy restricts us to members that live in the municipality. So that was suggested that we might take a look at that, where we don't have all of the committee reps that we should have or could have on that committee. Hopefully that makes sense. Mouthful.
Yeah, it did, apparently. So what I guess you're suggesting is in a future committee of the whole meeting, we may be discussing that.
Yeah, bump up that policy as an early review, as opposed to, I don't know where it was on the review as a priority, but maybe we should bump that up to a higher priority.
Okay.
And the second one, we also met, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee met, and we will be meeting tomorrow again. And we had an outside company do some engagement with the local communities to gather input, and they put together a report. So right now that report is being analyzed and processed into some recommendations. So just an update on that one, that's moving forward as well.
Yeah, those two committees you just reported on, if I remember correctly, were back to back. It's funny because I'm also was appointed to the DEI committee, and unfortunately, I had another meeting, and I showed up a little bit late, but like I said, it's been extremely busy over the past month, that's for sure. So thank you for those reports. Any more under advisory? Ad hoc? Oh, sorry, Deputy Warden.
Yeah, just one more advisory. It's the Recreation Committee, and we met recently and had a fantastic discussion, and really we're focusing on some policy revision and updating to make things more clear about how things are run. Again, our Recreation Department's jointly shared and funded between us and the town. So anyway, stay tuned for some policy updates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Muse.
Yes, so we met a week and a half ago on the Joint Police Advisory Committee, joint with Argyle, which we talked about earlier about the RCMP. So we met with Sergeant Mike Eady, and he went over a report. I was appointed chair of that committee, and we had a couple of things, Madam CAO, that we were gonna express, and I'm trying to think what they were. Just can you help me out?
Sure, yep. So the advisory committee is very keen to improve and build public awareness about policing services in the municipality and some key issues that the RCMP are looking to do proactive policing around. So both municipalities created space in their newsletters to feature articles from the Joint Police Advisory Committee. But there are two initiatives that are newly implemented in Nova Scotia that the RCMP wanted to create awareness on right away, and as much visibility as possible. So number one was the body worn camera program that's being implemented all across Nova Scotia. And the other one is, I guess, confirmation on the enforcement of a certain part of the code. So when a police officer pulls a vehicle over, they have always had the right to require the driver of the vehicle to take a breathalyzer test. And instructions have been given that 100% of the time, all the time, when a vehicle is pulled over, the driver will have to take the breathalyzer test. So those are really important changes in the delivery of policing on the ground, boots on the ground. So the Joint Police Advisory Committee wanted to build awareness. And I can't speak for Argyle, but I know our comms team are on that, making sure we highlight it and we build awareness and feature those important changes for public safety.
Councillor Muse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. CEO. Sorry. Yeah, Madam CEO, we got her.
I'll leave that one alone. We all make mistakes sooner or later. Any more advisory committee reports? Ad hoc? Next thing on the agenda, as we heard, which is now permanent in our council procedural policy, the public comment section. We have one person who's asked to speak before council, Greg News. If you wouldn't mind, please hit the red button there. You've done this before? Once or twice. Please hit the red button. You have 3 minutes.
I want to thank the new councillors and congratulate and welcome back the other ones. But what I want to speak about tonight is you're going to have a deer management survey, or you want to contact DNR for the survey or information. DNR is going to pass it on to a group that I'm involved with. It's BANS as well as BIANS. There are two organizations that that have been taking over those situations when there's a deer problem, especially in our area here. Word for the wise, you have to work in conjunction with Yarmouth. I'm trained biologist as well. wildlife biologist. But you have to work in conjunction with Yarmouth, because what you're going to do is you manage in the county, you're going to push them to the town, or vice versa. So you have to work together in that situation. The deer we all know the deer population here is quite high. I have friends that have done it in Truro. They did from our organization went into Truro and did a management call in Truro. That went well, really well. But they had a problem outside after. So that's one of the things that came out of that particular call. So if you're going to look at that and you want assistance, the organization you're going to get assistance from is BANS or BIANS. For your information, BANS is Bowhunters Association of Nova Scotia. BIANS is Bowhunter Instructors Association of Nova Scotia. And they're the ones that are going to help. Like when they have, right at this time, there's a survey being done by our organization on raising wild turkeys in Nova Scotia. So you can have a hunt of wild turkeys. It's just a preliminary. They're trying in 2 or 3 areas to do that. But they also are, we work directly with the Department of Natural Resources on these matters, okay? So I'm willing to work with you guys to help you arrange that and get the everything put together, because it's a really close friend of mine that did it in Truro. Another friend of ours did it in Quispam-Sis in New Brunswick. Same idea, very same idea. But work in conjunction with Yarmouth, with the town. Because if you have it in the county, you're going to push them in town. If they have it in town, they're going to push them in the county. So you got to do it in one swoop. That's what happened in Truro. And on that note, it was all in Truro, what happened there, we're probably using our new counselor's facility. If he's available for it, they donated the meat to the food bank. And it was a win-win for everybody. Okay? That's what I wanted to bring up. Is there any questions on what our organization is or anything in that matter?
No, thank you very much.
Okay?
All right, that's the last of the public comments. We have one more item in camera, so I need to use the washroom, so I'll ask for a motion to go for a 5-minute recess. Moved by Councilor Phil Mooney, seconder. I heard Councilor Daniel Muse. Councilor Daniel Muse. All those in favor, 5-minute recess signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.